Hi everyone. Thanks so much for the opportunity and privilege to chat with you and continue our pursuit of wellness. My name is Matt Unger and I am privileged to work as a family physician in Lacombe. I'm also fortunate enough to consider Mel Rogers as one of my friends. I think in a lot of ways what I've gone through as a healthcare provider in the last couple of years is similar to what you have endured as educators. So it was honestly a blessing for me to prepare this talk to reflect on the struggles of the last season and to take a look at my own state of wellness. I'd also like to first take a minute to thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. We have 3 school-age kids and we have seen firsthand how you have rolled with the punches and how you have continued to teach our kids with love and with excellence, and we're just so thankful for you guys. The mandate I've been given to discuss today is 2 things that are closely related, and on closer inspection I think will be something that's close to your hearts after all you've gone through this year. Number 1 is joy, and number 2, celebration. On first brush, you might be thinking, and rightly so, what in the name of the Wolf Creek School Division have you had to be joyful about this last year? You've had a pandemic and mask mandates and distance learning and then vaccines and then no masks and then vaccines and vaccine hesitancy and then sick colleagues and maybe even sick yourself, and then there's that thing about murder hornets. Not that I like regular hornets in the first place, and then there was a government that didn't seem to give a crap about you, and parents that are angry or scared or not scared enough, and probably a kid or 2 that bit your ankle or sent you a mean Snapchat depending on your age, on their age, and then not to mention that you have one of the hardest jobs in the world to begin with. Oh, and now maybe we're having World War III. So yeah, you really want me to tell you about joy and why you should be celebrating? I get it, this has been a tough year. It may have been hard to find things to be happy about, and it still is. But I think that these are the times that we need to seize joy more than ever. And forgive me for a limited discussion. The topic of joy is complex and it's varied. And while I've scratched the surface on the study of joy, I don't profess to any level of expertise, but these are the pearls that I want to bring to you. And if you disagree, or if you want to talk more or educate me, hey, let's go talk, let's have a beer and discuss. Okay, definition time. Good old Webster defines joy as the emotion evoked by well-being, success, or good fortune, or by the prospect of possessing what one desires. So in other words, joy is a result of well-being. It's the byproduct of living in fulfillment. We oftentimes use joy with happiness interchangeably, but the two aren't the same. Joy is not reactionary. It's not the emotional knee-jerk response that we relate to happiness. Joy is something much deeper. Because joy is something that can be independent of circumstance, or maybe to put it better, joy can become much richer and profound because of hardship. Joy comes when we have the perspective found on the other side of struggle. Joy is happiness that has been hard fought for. Joy is often found in victory, but it can also frequently be found in defeat. And it's almost always found after the struggle. I want to make this clear to you. Joy can and should be a byproduct of all the work that you've done in the trenches over this last year. As I was preparing for this talk, one of the unifying themes of joy that I've found, and this seems to cross the bounds of different religions or worldview, is that joy comes from looking outward. Joy comes from the service of others. The pursuit of a joy-filled life, the pursuit of personal well-being, is almost paradoxically the pursuit of blessing others. So I think that for you all as educators, this is something that you can grab a hold of to realize that you've been building a surplus of joy over the last couple of years. Over the last 2 years, likely more than any time in your career, you have given of yourself for the benefit of your students. You sacrificed your time and even your personal safety as you've nurtured and cared for our children. You demonstrated confidence in times of uncertainty. You reached out to our kids and brought school to them when they couldn't come to you. And now you're guiding our kids and helping them to navigate what would hopefully be a post-pandemic world. and as they deal with the wounds, physical and emotional, that they sustained over the last couple of years. So in my eyes, you have lived the type of struggle that's necessary to produce joy. As you have looked beyond yourselves, you have enriched the lives of your students. And I get it, you won't necessarily feel joy because I tell you that you've earned it. But I hope that as you near the end of another school year and reflect on what has been, you'll be able to view your efforts as not just a job, but as a way of enriching lives, of giving of yourselves, and as something from which joy has been earned. This leads us seamlessly into our next topic, which is celebration. Let me start with this. You guys have earned the right to celebrate. Your walk over the last 2 years has been admirable and worthy of acclaim. Furthermore, it's important that you celebrate. Psychologists will say that our brains are built with a negativity bias, which means we tend to remember problems and failures more easily than positives and successes. So it's important that we emphasize to ourselves the victories and accomplishments that we have made. And we need to realize that celebration isn't quite the same as rewarding yourself. When we're rewarded, we focus on a successful outcome, and our motivation for the next challenge is extrinsic, outside of ourselves. We're chasing the carrot, so to speak. And when the carrot's gone, it's difficult to find the energy to proceed towards the next challenge. But celebration is different. It's the act of appreciating the process. As we celebrate, we appreciate the process and effort of the task, which increases something called our intrinsic motivation. That's what allows us to be more prepared for the next challenge. Please, 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 not another pandemic, because we get joy out of the engagement of the task. This is in contrast to us doing something merely for the sake of the reward. Now, while you may not really want to relive the events of the last 2 years, it's important to be mindful of what you went through, how you did it, and to congratulate yourself on doing it well. Celebrate how you want, but remember that celebration is contagious. Celebrating your success gives others permission to do the same. I would encourage you to include others as you celebrate. I'm sure that the end of the school year is always a celebration. I picture you guys having a cake party while dancing around a bonfire of macaroni art and book reports. I don't know if that's what happens or not, but I would recommend this year singling out those who have supported you the most over the last year, telling them how much they mean to you. And I would also recommend getting together with those who you may have clashed with to celebrate getting through despite each other. Reflect on the season. What skills did I gain? What obstacles did I overcome? How did I do it, or how would I do it differently next time? Please, 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 no more pandemics. And celebrate with your students. They may or may not realize the stress you've been under and the sacrifices you have made, but they can learn from your celebration. So while I'm not a teacher, there are some ways that I would encourage you to celebrate. So learn a dance move or to share with the class. Play one of these songs at full volume as you accompany on air guitar. Ride a meter stick around the class like a pony. Maybe have a mask burning ceremony. So in summary, remember to claim the joy that you've earned, and don't forget to celebrate.